Now what you're going to do is use your mood board and all of the ideas for the different patterns and textures and details, and we are going to create at least 8 different patterns and textures that we can cut up and use in our collage. So the first thing to do is to divide a page into 4. It doesn't need to be measured, but you just need to make sure that you've got 4 roughly equal sized squares or rectangles. Then you are going to use your crayons and mark making techniques to fill the squares, and you're going to use your mind map. So you're going to look at the photos that you have on the mind map, and then you're going to use it to create some marks. And we are going to be quite creative with our use of colour. You may want to think about the style of architecture that you have chosen. So if you've chosen Chinese style architecture, often it's quite brightly coloured and decorated. If you've chosen French, again, you will have some bright colours. If you've chosen the modern or the Soviet, then it may be that you stick to more monochrome, black, white, grey, brown, darker colours like that, but it is up to you. So I'm going to start making some marks inspired by the brickwork that I looked at. Now I'm going to do a pattern inspired by the photograph of the tiles on the roof. Now I'm going to make a pattern inspired by the lines that I can see in the railings. Now I'm going to make a pattern inspired by this spot pattern that I've noticed in my photo. Okay, so now I have 4 different patterns that I've made inspired by my photo. Now I need to do the same thing again. I'm going to divide my page into 4. But this time I'm going to look a little bit more at some details. If there are more patterns that I can see that I want to include, I can do some more patterns. So I can see some bigger bricks in my photo that I'm going to try to replicate here. So I'm going to do one more pattern. Then I'm going to start looking at some details. Now I can see there's a lot of leaves around the temple that I'm going to want to include. So what I'll do is I'll start drawing out the shapes of the leaves, so I can cut them out later and stick them on. There are also some bushes around. So again, looking at a pattern still, the patterns that I can see in the bushes, but drawing more detail this time. So this is the shape of the bush as well. I can add more than one colour if I want to. Okay, another nice detail that I've noticed are the pink lanterns in my picture. So I'm going to draw them as well. And again, focusing on the patterns that I see in them. Okay, and another thing that I've noticed are the very decorative parts of the roof with the dragons on. So I'm going to look at the patterns there and I'm going to draw those here as well, but nice and small. And there's also a railing that I've noticed that has a nice pattern to it. So I'm just going to try to draw that as well. Okay, once you've got a selection of patterns and textures, we are going to use the paint to wash over the top. So choose a colour that will work with the pattern colour that you have chosen already. So for example, with my leaves, I will paint green on top. For the bricks, I'm going to paint a kind of grey, a light bluey grey on top, pink on top of these. And then we're just going to fill in so that each block is completely filled with colour. And when we do this, we want to add plenty of water to our paint so that it's a wash. Okay, so a nice thin, watery paint. And then the crayon will show through, like this. Another way you can add additional texture to something that is already quite nice and textured is to blot it with paper and then you'll get a nice stone kind of texture. So I'm going to do that on my bricks. Okay, and now I've got my patterns and textures ready to use on my building.